In this video, I am going over the assembly drawing and how to create the information for your assembly and how to create bill of material, put the balloons, and go over the detail about the bill of the materials items, and also some details about how you need to put the dimension for your assembly. So generally for the assembly drawing, you should not put any kind of the dimension that is related to the special part. The only dimension that you mention inside the assembly drawing is related to the assembly and how the part sit down compared to each other. So for example here the angle between the two parts, like the two square block or U bracket, so the angle between these two U bracket is 125, and it means that in your assembly and final product the angle between these two parts should be 125. So this is the some information you transfer to your audience and to the manufacturer people to understand about how they need to put the parts together. So beside of that, you shouldn't put any kind of dimension that usually you put inside the part drawing, like here. So these dimensions are related to the part drawing. So you shouldn't put this type of the dimension that is not related to your assembly inside your assembly sketch. Okay, so to start creating the assembly drawing, the same environment as a part drawing, you need to open the same drawing environment, and then you select the size of your paper and put all of the table information for your paper, and then you open the assembly file instead of the part file. So in the if you want to put the drawing for the part, you open the part, and when you want to create the drawing for your assembly, you open the assembly file that you created. So let's start with defining the measurement and some information for your table for your paper, and then we go and open the assembly file, and then we create some detail and bill of the material for our assembly. So here I just select the A4 like and the landscape. I click apply, and then I go to the frame and title, and again I create the frame, and I put the table here and click OK and zoom in. Then I double click on the table and edit the table, so I don't need these two row here. For example, if you have the here, let me show some detail here. So if you have the tolerance that is same for all of the parts, or you want to have some copyright information in your paper, you can write down in the detail around in this area. So we don't need this one, we just delete this part. And then I can change the size of this, the width of the my table, because it's very big, so I just can make it smaller. And so this is mostly look like the your Excel file. So you have the same workout, and also control as the Excel, and you can change all of the column and the width of your rows and everything. So I just put this one assembly like file X for something, and then you have your name. Then you can define if there's any person that edit or approve your design, and then you have the size of your file, and you can put the total of your the total weight of your assembly. For example, if they have different parts, you can find out the weight from the assembly file, and then you can put it here. For example, 400 kilogram if it's in the SI unit, and then some other information that you can edit that. And when you finish with the table table design, so let me just reduce the height of this one. Okay, so after you finished working with your paper, let's open the assembly file and work on the assembly file. So you can open the assembly file with clicking on the this view palette, and also you can call it from the right hand side of your window and your workbench, and I just click on here, and then it asks you to select the file. If you have the file open already in your tab, you can select that, or you can go to your 3D space, and you can select your file, and the software automatically open the file, and you have a different view for your so it's open the file in the new tab, and also you have a different view for your part. So here I put the one isometric view, and then later I go back and I show you how you can create the new view that is different from the one thing that you cannot find in your right hand side. So these are some suggestions from the way that you created your assembly, and they are according to the global coordinate system. So when you start creating your assembly, if you put one of the object in the your global coordinate system as a 0, 0, 0, and then you start putting everything together, then you get the same view in this part. So for example, if when I create my part, and when I import the part in my assembly environment and I put it like this, then the part has an angle toward my original coordinate system as my 0, 0, 0 as a x, y, z, and then when I go back in the my drawing, you see all of these views on the angle. But here when I started, I put the first one. So if I go to the properties, I can show you that I put the position for the first one at my coordinate system. So it's on the 1, so you can see that I put it in my origin, and because of that I get the very clear views for my parts. So one way is that if you want to have the clear views for your part, is that when you start creating your assembly, you need to make sure that you put it on the your coordinate system. So you right click in the part, the first part that you put, you go to the properties, and then you go to the position, and you click on this icon, and it put it at the your original coordinate system, that is 0, 0, and 0, and then you put all of the other parts in accordance with the first part. So you put the contact the all other part with the mate with the original one. Okay. So the other way that you can put the view in your paper is the same as a part design. So you select, you expand this part from your view layout and select the isometric view. Then you go in your assembly and you click on your part. Then you can see that it bring the compass here, and then you have the control in your 3D view, and you can change the way that you want to put it in your paper. Okay. So I delete this one, and I keep this one, the new view, as my 3D view, isometric view. The next thing is that you can, like the part design, you can have it highlighted. So I can make it highlighted, and so it shows all of the edges and view and the area and the body of my object. The next thing is that you need to identify each one of these parts. To do that, you go to the annotation, and then you expand the table part, and you select the balloon. So the balloon is the information for your part. So I start clicking on the part, and it put the number related to each part. So here I click at the first one. I can change the number in the top, or I can just select the automatic one. So it automatically select the part. So I have this one. Select the balloon. I select in this part, and I click it to 2, and here I click OK. And the last one, I have 3 part, and I click on this one and put it here. For example, if I put all of the screws here, I can put the rest of the balloons here related to these screws, and also 2 screws in the back. One thing is that because I don't see those screws in this part in display, I can put another view like this one. So I can drag this view here, and then put the rest of the balloons in this view, because I cannot see all of the screws that I assembled in my part from this isometric view that I have here. Okay, so after you finish putting all of the your balloon, you have options to modify the location of this the start point, and also the location of the numbers. So I can move this part, so I can move the location that I want to my arrow sit down, and also I can move the number around. So this is and also I can rotate the number, and I can move it around. Same for this one. So you just click on the part, and you move the numbers around. The last thing that you need to do for your assembly drawing is to put the detail about parts. So to do that, you go and put the bill of the material. So the bill of material is the table including all of the number for the balloons, the corresponding material, corresponding part, and also everything that is related to the parts for each balloon. So when I put the bill of the material, I have a selected default and I click OK, and then I put somewhere on the screen to put my table. So this is a table that sit down in my sketch, and the same properties that you have for the paper table you have for these tables too. So it looks like the Excel file. So you double click on that, and then you have the control to adjust the width of each table. And then, so let me make it sure it's just sit down. Just want to make it fit inside my I can move it inside. One thing that you notice that there is automatically is call out the information from your parts. So here you can see that there is a name for your part, there is a item number that is related to your balloons, and then you have a description, material, and estimated weight. So here you can see some of them are empty. To fill out this part, you need to go back to your assembly file, and then here you need to for example, if you want to put the description for your file or change the name, you right click in each part, and then under reference you have the name of the title of your object for your part. The name of the part here I cannot change that because it's this system, my access is restricted, so I cannot change this name. But you can put the information in the some parts that they are not highlighted. So here I can put the name as a assembly guide, and click apply. You can do, like for example, for the plate, I can put the name of the plate, and for the properties I can do that again. For the rod, put the name as a description, or you can put a description about the some information that you want to put for this rod. Instead of just name, you can put the, for example, this rod is a part of the first assembly or second assembly if it's a sub assembly and it goes to the different bigger system. So if you go back in your drawing to update these columns, you just go expand your report, right click on the BOM, and you just click on the update the bill of the material, and now you can see that it put the names in your table. And also you can notice that it's changed the width and the size of your table to the original dimensions. So to change this one, like that, to make sure that every time that you refresh your table, it doesn't go back to the original, you can change that by going to the right click on the BOM and then go to the properties. So on the properties, I can go to the reported properties, and here you can see that you have the different information that is coming to your table. So right now there's a 1, 2, 3, 5 column, and the number of the rows depend on the number of the parts that comes to your assembly. And then at the last column here, it's talking about the width of your each item. So here I can click on this one, and then I change the number from 30. I can make it 20 millimeter. Then again for the next one, I can do the same. So I change the default to the something that I want. So here 110, I make it like the 90 millimeter. This one 50, for example, 50, and this one 52. And I click apply. Now you can see that it changed the size of my the columns, and now you can see that maybe it's not appropriate for the second one, so I need to increase the 20 to 25 to make sure that everything sit down properly in my table. Okay, now you can see that it changed the 30 to 35. Okay. The next thing is that for the material, if you want to define the material for your part, you need to go to the assembly again. Then you go to the tools, and you go to the right side, and you have all the options to call out for your for the material that you have in the library, or you can select the all the material that you have inside your working space, and you can select that one and apply it to the next part. So I just click on the library. So here, for example, let's see. So the first one is the stainless steel. So I just click on that, and I define that for I drag it and put it in for the first part for the guide. So if I expand this, you can see that the material now applied to my it's applied to the this part. So let's select something else and apply to Revit. I'm trying to find some material that's, let's see what it is. Okay, so I think that this is the 1060, some kind of the aluminum. So I put that one for this rod. I just drag first select that one and then drag it to my page, and I just apply it to when it wants to apply. I just select the application and just apply on that. So here, so it applied to my rod. Okay. So you can change the name of the title here. So I just changed the here I changed the table to stainless steel $360, and I changed the next one. I keep it there like this because I want to show you what is the difference inside your table bill of the material. So here I just right click and I just update my bill of the material, and my material should be showed up in this section. So here it didn't called out this material, so let's see, let's call it aluminum 1060 and with the hardness of 'refresh this part. So usually it should show up in this part, but there's some breakage between the parts, so it doesn't apply. Let's put another material for the back contact. So I put the same material for these parts. Click OK. And now my plate has material too. Then I go back in my drawing and let's update this one and show for the plate. It doesn't show it again. So usually when you update your file, it should just show the information in your bill of the material, but so it's breaks, so it doesn't show inside the what is called your assembly drawing. So you can go back and edit the material in your part, so you can open each part and apply the material from the base, then it's automatically update in your assembly and it will update inside your bill of the material. Or you can just double click on each table and you put the information manually inside your, so it was SC360. So these are another way that you can put the information for your parts inside the bill of the material and fill out the different sections. So now the last thing that you want to mention in your assembly drawing is that if there is any information related to your assembly. So here when we created this part, we put the special distance between this back of this guide to the plate. So the distance between these two, we define them as a special number, as a 15 or 25 millimeter, and that's something that we want to make sure that we mention in our assembly sketch, because this is part of our assembly and it's very important that the audience knows this restriction for your assembly. To do that, you can select any kind of the views that shows the distance between these two faces. So you can either select the front view or right view or the back and put it inside the inside your paper. But I want to create the view using the compass, so I just click on assembly and I click on this view because I want to rotate this part and make it 90 degrees. So this is something that I want to have in my part. So I just drag this one and I put it inside my sketch. The next thing is that I go back inside my annotation, and the same way that I put the dimensions for my part design, I put the dimension here for this part. So I define this dimension here. So this is something is related to your assembly. So if there's a special angle, for example, if the plate in the back plate, so if I change the view to the so if this plate was in angle with this face, or that's the bottom part, then if this is something that is related to your assembly and should be considered in your assembly, you need to make sure that you mention that angle inside your drawing, assembly drawing. So just before I finish this, let me change the some of the size of the table to make sure it just fit inside my paper. So make it 80. And the last one, I make it 40. Now my table is smaller and I can fit it inside my paper. Let's say that if you want to have extra information in your table, for example, if you want to have the volume of your material, you can do that. You can just go to your bill of the material, and you can go to the definition. So again, you right click on the bill of material, you just go to the bill of material object, and you just click on the definition, and here you have the options to add extra column or extra object, and then you can select and so let's okay. So you can add the extra row here and define the material, for example, the screw or anything that you want to put as a manually. And also, if you want to add the extra column, you can just double click and right click on the put the insert and put another column, and I don't know, put the area, for example, and then fill out this part manually. Or if you want to have it automatically inside your you want to have an extra column that be connected to your part, like this section, you just right click on the bill of the material and then go to the properties. Again, when you go to the reported properties here, you just go to the left and you can add a new item here, and then from the item here, from the drop down, you can select the object that you want to put. So here you can go down, select if I click on the V, I can select the volume, for example, and then you can define the width of the your new table, and then it will be connected and read the information from your assembly and all the information that you have here. So those new column that you add will be connected to your table here. So again, if you want to put the bill of the material, you go to the annotation, you expand this item. First you put the balloons, and then you select the bill of the material, and then you click on the page that you want to put the bill of the material. Also, when you want to put the different view, you just open the assembly file, and then you change the view. Then you go back in your drawing, and let's say that I want to have a one view that shows the information for the hole from the bag. I can just go to the relative to the model, go back here, and then I can select this face, and it show me the view inside my paper. I just use the compass to rotate this one. Then I can put it in my paper, change the scale if you want to it be smaller, and then you can put the balloons for these holes if they are connected to any pins or any kind of the screws, and then you have all of the items that you need inside your assembly file.